I remember a story I read somewhere that there was a person who was picking up starfishes that ended up at the beach, and he was throwing them back to the ocean. Another guy saw him and he said, "What difference does it make? There are like so many." He picked it up again and threw it back to the ocean and said, "I made a difference in its life."
Mi sueño más grande es que una idea que nazca en Bolivia pueda ser compartida por otros países que quieran implementarla. Creo que no importa dónde nazcas, si le pones la pasión, si tienes buena idea y tienes buenos aliados también, puedes hacer un cambio.
¿Vieron lo felices que estaban los niños después de los talleres?
Sí, la cosecha ha sido clave justo ese día del maestro, como decía.
La ciudad de La Paz es una ciudad maravillosa, pero es una ciudad de concreto. La gente no cree que La Paz pueda ser verde o se pueda hacer sus alimentos aquí. Pero justamente eso es lo que estamos intentando hacer.
Miren, ahí está nuestro huerto.
Mira, el primer huerto.
Casi 2 años ya va a cumplir.
Sí.
Casi 2 años.
Yo quiero demostrar que en Bolivia hay talento, hay ganas, pero sobre todo hay solidaridad para compartir al mundo soluciones que pueden ayudar a todos.
Growing up as a woman in Pakistan is very, very difficult. There's certain things that are expected from a woman. They're expected to do the cooking. Once they get married, they're expected to do all the house chores, the cleaning and everything. So you will see a lot of men on the streets, but very less women. And sometimes she thinks that, I wish that I was a man. You will hear a lot of women saying that here. And they would wish that we would be more free, we would go out anytime, and we could have like fun, you know. So I think sometimes that I feel going against the current. People in general have a lot of assumptions about Pakistan, and I like to blow all of those out of the water.
Cuando era niño soñaba con un mundo que siento que se distancia cada vez del que estamos moldeando. Y siento que el mundo ha cambiado mucho y que el mundo que vendrá después va a ser muy diferente. Parece que todas las noticias que recibimos constantemente es de que estamos encaminados a puntos de no retorno en todos los aspectos, desde la biosfera, la conservación de recursos, la conservación cultural, la conservación de la fauna. Y gran parte de esto se debe precisamente a los ciclos productivos y las cadenas de suministro de las que dependemos. En el aspecto energético es muy claro el impacto que se ha generado por las cadenas de suministro basadas en combustibles fósiles. Pero nosotros estamos demostrando que sí se puede hacer un modelo de negocio netamente basado en aprovechar los residuos de una tecnología limitada y de alto impacto para acelerar otra tecnología de generación de renovables.
Monrovia is such a beautiful city, beautiful landscape, wonderful people. When I look across the city, I see potential. It leaves me with a few questions. What is my role? And how can I help the city reach its potential? I think we have everything we need that we can build for ourselves a city that is sustainable, a city that is people can move around freely, easily as well.
All right. Good morning.
I want to see a sustainable city, a city with easy access to everything for everyone. I think we can build that.
Hey, Spacey.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. XFM has been waiting for you here.
Thank you so much.
Please come in. Let's get into the show.
Thank you.
Okay. Welcome to the show. I call my good friend Spacey. She is our Woman Crush Wednesday. So that is why I called her here to do two things. Celebrate her, but also most importantly, explain to me why I have this kind of quality of air. And what is causing this terrible air that we have in Kampala?
You mentioned, like there's so many cars that we have in Kampala, and that is a fact. Individually, you are contributing by just driving your car that is emitting the gases. If you are burning or you're using charcoal to cook, that is equally contributing to climate change. So in the long term, these actions that we're doing individually are going to be irreversible. So we need to start now. You can just use your voice. Uganda is characterized with a lot of young, talented human beings, but with limited opportunities.
Just tell me how you work with people and the kind of groups of people you work with.
Our beneficiaries or participants are addressing climate change through the eco alternatives. So I would want to prove that when you give a young person a chance, they can build a future that's fairer, greener, and full of possibility. Lake Victoria is Africa's largest lake, and it's actually the second largest freshwater lake globally. It's a biodiversity hotspot. Many species are unique in Lake Victoria, and if lost here, they are gone forever. Well, I have grown up by the shore, and I could see so much pollution. In our society, plastic is very cheap. It's very, very cheap. So you can't convince somebody that barely lives on $1 a day to leave it and adopt to something else if there's no win-win for them. So as a creative agency, we had to get a common ground of something that is going to drive them to act towards addressing climate change, but at the same time, getting them economically empowered. Then that's how sustainability comes in.
One memory that really stands out is me reading with my mom. She giggles or laughs. So I would always ask, "Mom, what are you laughing at?" Her answer was always, "If you want to know, pick up your book and read." So I learned to read at a very young age.
One day, the lion was sitting by the river when he heard a group of animals hunters wandering around the area. He quickly ran off to inform the other animals, but they were not convinced. Learning us, L-U-R-N-G.
I think for both my mother and me, reading was like an escape from the reality. This was just after the Civil War, and growing up in those times, it also left the question of how can we, give back? How can we all rebuild Liberia? I still constantly have the question in my mind. Liberia is the oldest republic in Africa, but it's the youngest in spirit. We are a nation of young people. Everyone's welcome, everyone's treated equally. It's a free land. Driving in the streets of Monrovia, you'll see a lot of traditional combustion engine vehicles. Many of them are quite noisy and polluting. I became interested in renewable energy when I was in college. This was my final year. I was really interested because I thought, we have abundance of sunlight. We have an unstable grid. So, I think that would be better for us. And just around that time, one friend of mine saw this job post about a company wanting to bring electric kekes to Liberia, the tuk-tuks. And I thought, this is perfect for me.
Lights.
Caminar en La Paz por un mercado es una experiencia sobreestimulante porque puedes encontrar el aceite al lado de los tomates, al lado de las planchas, por ejemplo. Entonces es un caos, pero en nuestra cabeza ya está ordenado. ¿De dónde viene tu tomatito? De Lilimani. Ya. ¿Qué más traes de afuera?
Camote y la cebolla roja, la cebolla blanca.
Todo eso es de Perú.
Del Perú, las tres cosas.
Tiene mucha variedad, pero nada se produce aquí. Todo lo traemos de Cochabamba, de Perú, de Chile, de todo lado, y muy poco es lo que se produce aquí. Buenos días, caserita, ¿cómo estás?
Limoncito, danos una librita, por favor.
¿Qué le voy a decir? ¿Este es limón de yungas traen?
Sí, de los limas.
A unas 3 horas, ¿no? De La Paz, más o menos es, ¿o más?
No, 4.
4 o 5 horas de La Paz, ya.
25 mi casa.
Mi tacita nomás, caserita. Muchas gracias. Si hay problemas con el combustible o bloqueos, lo que sea,
aquí tienes, caserita.
Muchas gracias.
Siempre sube los precios acá en La Paz, de inmediato.
Gracias.
La clave para uno también tener seguridad alimentaria no es ganar más dinero para comprar más, sino es aprender a usar la tierra de una forma amigable para alimentarte.
Lo más importante para no morir de hambre es saber producir tus alimentos. Yo escogí estudiar o dedicarme a los temas de la agricultura y de la alimentación porque me pareció un tema clave de los pueblos o de las personas, de que ningún gobierno o política pueda limitar su acceso a alimentos, ¿no? Entonces yo creo que tenemos con la agricultura el poder de producir nuestra propia comida y de alcanzar un nivel de libertad.
A ver, ¿qué tenemos hoy?
Aquí lo voy a poner para que estemos escuchando. ¿Y qué cosechamos?
Cuando vi lo que él estaba haciendo, digamos, con la agricultura, y dije, ¿qué pasa si la casa de Félix lo ponemos en un huerto, en una unidad educativa?
Y le dije, sí, se podría hacer esto, y ahí es donde armamos ya una propuesta de un programa educativo y justamente buscar un terreno abandonado para rehabilitarlo con tecnología.
Sí, no, está súper bien, la verdad.
Entonces aquí a la entrada de la sala de control, como siempre.
Ahí, exacto.
A ver, aquí es 4.
Ah, está bien. 4,5 todavía hay, ¿no?
Y estamos perdiendo.
Después de hablar con Félix, dijimos, necesitamos a alguien más, necesitamos a alguien que nos ayude, alguien que tenga experiencia también con agricultura y alguien que tenga pasión.
A ver, si es que me pueden comentar cuál es su comida favorita, por ejemplo. A ver, alguien levante la mano y coménteme su comida favorita.
Yo estudio negocios internacionales, todo lo que es el área de medio ambiente y principalmente el trabajo en cooperación.
Bueno, aquí lamentablemente en la ciudad no vemos muchísimas verduras, la verdad. ¿O quiénes comen zanahoria todos los días?
Para mí siempre ha sido una meta en mi vida poder ayudar. Cuando empezó el proyecto, ya tenía cierta experiencia en lo que era el área de seguridad alimentaria, desde las acciones más sociales. Por su parte, Guille tenía todo el contacto, por así decirlo, con la municipalidad, tenía la iniciativa y ese spark, digamos, para iniciar la idea, y Félix tenía todo el conocimiento.
Así hicimos este pequeño equipo que después fue creciendo y se empezaron a unir más chicos y ahora somos 15 personas que nos matamos haciendo esto, pero creo que todos somos orgullosos.
Hemos hablado mucho sobre la transición energética, pero nos falta cuestionarnos de una manera más profunda qué va a suceder con esas nuevas tecnologías cuando lleguen a sus finales y para qué más las podemos aprovechar de manera que sea una transición energética accesible y circular a todos los sectores de la industria y la sociedad.
Esta es una batería que nos llegó de un sistema de transporte público, tuvo un inconveniente durante la operación, la sacaron y por eso la estamos recibiendo acá. Y aquí ya la estamos reutilizando. Entonces va a salir una batería acá, otra acá, otra acá. Listo, ese es el plan que tenemos ahora.
Alejo comenzó a investigar por curiosidad propia cómo funciona la tecnología de las baterías de litio.
Encontré que efectivamente las baterías sí se podían reutilizar. Entonces encontrar muchas celdas de estas. Las celdas es lo que almacena la energía, es como una pila pequeña y están en perfecto estado. Me parecía muy curioso porque es algo muy costoso, cómo se están desperdiciando tantas. Entonces me puse a investigar, hice la primera batería, la probé, tuve unos resultados muy exitosos. Y ahí fue que dije, bueno, aquí definitivamente hay algo muy interesante.
Cuando se dio cuenta que hay algo que podíamos patentar, me invita a mí para que en conjunto hagamos este sueño realidad.
I remember when I was 4 or 5 years old and my family used to take me out to the beach. And then I had this cute bucket in which I collected all the shells because I found them really interesting. Sometimes it was just, really fun for me to be there and to watch those waves and play in it. And I remember that it was the best thing. So I have a very early memory with my grandmother where we used to watch ocean documentaries together, and she loved watching those. She loved the visuals, the underwater world, and I remember just sitting beside her, just loving it, and I wondered if I will be someday able to see it with my own eyes. I cannot forget the first breath that I took underwater. When you're breathing, you're not more conscious about each breath that you take. But when you're underwater, you feel the sound and each breath that you're taking. There's just silence, and you just observe the water, the slow movement of the waves. And when I saw those corals, I cannot tell you what I actually felt like. You have to dive to see. You have to. So when I saw that there's a lot of impacts of climate change and there's so much coral bleaching happening in Pakistan, I decided that I need to be doing something to protect it. We see a lot of flooding happening in the coastal regions because of climate change. There is less and less fish in water because the ocean is warmer. I think there was a time 20 years back that when you would go and you catch the fish on the shore, and now these fishermen have to travel long hours and sometimes days, and they come back with no fish. And it's really heartbreaking to see that because that's their livelihood. So we're kind of trying to save those corals, restore them, so that we can somehow get the fish back to these communities. That's where Shabib comes in, and he had all the technical skills. He's a dive master, and then we started working on this project. Corals are resilient. So how we plan it is, we have all the dives in the diving season where we do all the surveys, monitoring of the area underwater, where we can find the best place for coral propagation and restoration, and then we plan for the next step, which is planting these corals underwater.
We just rescue the broken corals and we take a small fragment from it and we just propagate it with the catalyst which is invented by Dr. Anwar Abdullah, and then we take this rock into the ocean and put the nursery, like we build a 2 by 5 meter nursery. So we are not putting any artificial thing like concrete, iron structures. So this is a 100% organic way to propagate the coral. Sundus!
You found another one?
हाँ ये देखो, ये इन्होंने नेट पे डाला होगा और नेट से जब खींचा होगा तो ये कोरल निकल के बाहर आया है.
Obviously, like, we need to protect this coral ecosystem, and we cannot do it without the communities. Because whenever, sometimes they're fishing, they're using these nets, and sometimes the coral is scraped out from the bottom. At first, they didn't realize what it was. They didn't know that it was an animal, and it's actually supporting the life underwater. So then we started, teaching them about how important these corals are for you and for your future generation, because this is where the fish lives in.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम रफीक भाई, क्या हाल है? ठीक ठाक हैं? अम्मा क्या हाल है? ठीक हैं?
रफीक भाई क्या हाल है? ठीक है, खैरियत से?
ठीक है अम्मा.
People love the beach, they love the ocean, but it's a very limited knowledge that they have about it, because whatever they see is on the surface and they don't know much about marine life. And when we show them all these videos of underwater marine life, vibrant, colorful, with corals, with many fishes and turtles, and they just get mesmerized, like, is this really Pakistan? Do we have all this here? And it's really exciting to see their reaction.
ये और बड़े महफूज तरीके से निकालना होता है ताकि आप खुद भी ना फंस जाएं, क्योंकि अगर आप गलती से फंस गए तो आपकी सांसें थोड़ी सी हैं, इस जाल का नुकसान आप ये देखें कि इसमें क्या-क्या फंसा हुआ है.
So that's how we reach out to these communities, and whenever they get the coral in the net, we tell them to leave it back underwater.
30-40 साल लगे होंगे तब जाके ये इतना बना होगा. अगर ये ख़त्म हुआ तो आपकी अपनी रोजी रोटी पे लात पड़ेगी.
This is something that takes time, and for them it's really hard and difficult to wait. It breaks my heart sometimes, but we are still trying.
Why are you? How are you? Legs clean.
Given the fact that I'm very, very attached to the lake, I thought this is the time for me to start fighting. And that's how we started a movement of young people to start sensitizing our communities.
They dump a lot of plastic polythene and plastic bottles in these drainages. But these drainages pour into Lake Victoria. Every small act that you're doing, it matters. Thank you, team. Hi, Jamal.
Hello.
Yes, so today we've collected tons of plastic.
I'm going to send over my trucks and we're going to turn that plastic into fuel.
That's great. It symbiotically helps all of us. Well, the plastic that we don't use, you're using it for something very beneficial.
So we heat this plastic, then we filter, we get the crude oil that we later distillate to get the LPG that we pack in cylinders and we sell to the low-income households.
A normal day could look like this. I wake up, go to the radio and try to sensitize. After that, we would engage schools, and then we would have to do the cleanups. So we work through these thematic areas to deliver change in our societies. And the very first one is economic empowerment. For instance, we're doing skilling. In skilling, we have vocational training. And so we are impacting skills with these younger generations, especially young women, so that they can start their own livelihood.
Being a single mother, it was not easy for me. It was really difficult for me. The father left me when the kid is just 5 months. Up to the day when I went to the market, that's how I heard about Creative Youth Agency. After Creative Youth Agency giving us skills, I left tailoring. I joined making bags using these palm trees. Oh, no lava. Which one do you want? Thank you. It's so very good. It's very hard. It cannot get spoiled easily. You see, you stop using open papers. Stop taking them to the lake. It spoils the environment. It's better use those bags. Okay. Thank you.
Christine started off training just to acquire skill, and now she actually is a teacher. She's skilling this fellow.
Not bad, but you fix this one as well. You add something. You change colors. It's good when you add colors like this. Oh, you know what, blessing? You know this material here. It's not bad for the environment. Even if you throw them, the environment cannot get any problem. Therefore, it's better use this instead of ballpoint bags. Yes.
Even when she sees that people are using plastic, it's like, do you people know what this means? You know what it means in the next 100 years, because this plastic does not just decompose easily, you know. She's now an advocate. She's now a climate activist. And I think we have so many Christians like that.
What do you think could be the solution to all these points that you've mentioned? Wow, you're very good people.
You should plant trees instead of deforesting them. If you plant trees, we are preventing carbon dioxide to be loose in our environment.
Yes, let's clap for him, planting trees. Another answer?
People should stop putting plastics in the lakes, because if rubbish is in the lakes, you will not feel comfortable. You feel that that place is not clean for some people to be near it.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, we go. Let's stop plastics. Let's start recycling. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
The idea to work with women was from the beginning. It's not just about the climate for us, it's also about making sure people can climb the socioeconomic ladder. So it's about both the environment and economics for us. And we think with women, they can take whatever they make and take that directly to the homes, and then the children also benefit. There were points in time when we thought, how feasible is this? Would women want to do this?
Hi, welcome. Do you need some music? Have you ridden with me before? Or this is the first time riding? You are going to experience a good ride. If this is the first time with a female driver, you will get the best ride. I'm the best driver in town.
When we started, there was only one commercial woman driver, and luckily I met her just before the vehicles came.
I met Elvis in the traffic. He said, wow, I've been hearing about you, and I'm so happy that I'm riding with you. We're having a company coming in. So I would really like you to be part of the company. And I said, yes, I'm interested.
So then I recruited her, and she became a part of the capacity building trainings we were having at the time.
Oh, boss.
Hey.
Alice.
So this for the drivers app. It will come to the closest driver available to them.
How am I going to know that I have a client on the app?
You'll get the request. So once they send the request, it will come to your phone, and then you will see the directions to where they are for you going to pick them up.
Okay. So the minute I'm going to do it very easier for us to get our client.
Yes.
Okay. We don't have same opportunity with those guys. You know why? We have been thinking, like I said, we have been thinking like we don't supposed to do it. We feel only men supposed to do it. Mommy.
Yes, baby.
Good evening.
Good evening. How's your day?
Cool. I said, what are you doing? Doing my homework. Since I started working with MIG, I'm not a liability to my family any longer. Food is ready. I'm taking more responsibility in my home to put food on the table, and then also help others around me. They feel happy and think good about my job, because you will see more females doing what I'm doing. So they feel proud. They always encourage me.
It's such a blessing to have her on the team.
As you say on the AC, what do you think? You're going to get a very best experience today.
Right here. When we were looking for the second cohort to train, we started, okay, let's put out vacancy, let's try to get as many people as we want. And I think about the next day we had 2 people just walk up to the office and say, hey, I see you have women drivers on the street. It wasn't because they saw a vacancy. Many of them just saw the other women and say, hey, I want to be a part of this. How can I join? That is how we got all of the women that joined us.
Colombia es un país que tiene una matriz energética bastante avanzada y tenemos entonces esa noción de que cada vez que estamos encendiendo la luz no estamos haciéndolo a costa de estar quemando combustibles fósiles. Pero al mismo tiempo, a un par de kilómetros, a un par de minutos, hay personas que no tienen acceso a la energía o que no tienen acceso a servicios básicos. Catanzama es un poblado de la etnia Arhuaca, que es uno de los 4 pueblos indígenas de la Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta. Está ubicado en una zona donde previamente habían sido desplazados y recuperaron acceso y tenencia a esta tierra como parte de una búsqueda de ellos de preservación y recuperación de su cultura.
Bueno, tiempo sin verlos.
Nosotros hemos buscado que nuestras baterías aceleren el bienestar de este país y hemos encontrado que ayudar a prestar un mejor acceso a educación y salud en áreas donde no lo tienen a través de la energía dramáticamente mejora la calidad de vida de las personas y su capacidad de autodesarrollo.
Mamo enfatiza diciendo que esta luz solar es muy amigo de la naturaleza, que no afecta. Entonces así pasen 50, 100 años, se seguirá utilizando.
Poder encender un bombillo en la noche, poder tener un refrigerador que conserve nuestra comida o nuestros medicamentos. Son cosas que para nosotros ya ni siquiera consideramos porque son cotidianas, pero para otras personas esto es un reto muy grande para poder sobrellevar la vida. Es ciertamente bastante esperanzador ver que estamos ayudando a personas que han sido marginalizados en el pasado, pero aquí estamos ambos para trabajar en conjunto.
Entonces, por ejemplo, ustedes o sea, algo no está funcionando bien, llegan y nos toman un pantallazo así, por ejemplo. Entonces usted llega y nos manda ese pantallazo a nosotros y nos dice como, hey, vea, esto nos está funcionando mal, miren a ver si nos pueden ayudar a ver qué pasa y ya nosotros los miramos. Claro. O los podemos
es
guiar,
un motor de propósito para todos los que hacemos parte de este equipo de Batix. A los 10, a todos nos entusiasma saber que estas baterías están llegando a estos lugares, que no es solamente un producto que estamos ensamblando y vendiendo, sino que es algo que está cambiando positivamente las vidas de las personas.
Ima mam sewan pekari. Kagamu wat mispai neka nini bezan. Ia mari juigu. Sigi ni bitunu gazanan. Saya bung sibek sai. Bezan avandi. Yang di bung paku bizan ni beri rasana muzak tabidani.
Este huerto es smart justamente porque se conecta al internet y porque tiene un cerebro, ¿ya? Entonces nosotros desde aquí podemos ya decidir qué prender y qué apagar. Por ejemplo, la luz de aquí la acabamos de apagar y la vamos a prender justamente de nuevo, ¿no? Y vamos a prender la bomba ahora. Como vemos, está ya regando igual, ¿no? Definitivamente el concepto de huerta era visto como algo más orgánico, más de macetita, más de tierrita, y está bien, es el inicio. Pero ahora con esta parte de la tecnología tenemos gente que, por ejemplo, podría ser científicos o gente que se dedica totalmente a otra cosa que no es la agricultura y tener también esa parte en su estilo de vida, ¿no? Estas semillas son mucho más chiquitas, te voy a explicar igual, mira, son bien chiquititas. Lo que necesitas es agarrar 3 por hueco.
¿Se acuerdan del baby plant, no ve? ¿Qué hacía el baby plant? Germinaba las semillas.
Tenemos que ver también la forma en la que estamos produciendo. Necesitamos millones de hectáreas de tierra, necesitamos quemar la Amazonía para producir o podemos generar nuevas alternativas.
¿Se acuerdan que cuando hemos hecho el último taller había todo este tema del tomate que subió de precio? ¿Quiénes se acuerdan que subió de precio el tomate? Si el tomate sube de precio y yo no lo puedo comprar, para mí no es seguridad alimentaria. ¿Por qué? Porque está muy caro. ¿No ven?
¿Están listos para cosechar? Sí. Ya, entonces vamos en primero. Debemos tomar la planta. Eso, muy bien. Levanten todas sus plantitas. Miren esas raíces. Cuando la raíz está blanca, ¿eso qué significa? ¿Quién se acuerda? Está sana, exacto. Y cuando está muy oscura, quiere decir que la planta tiene pequeños errores y hay que corregir para sanarla.
Huerto Smart está buscando transformar el concepto de agricultura en los niños y en sus familias para adaptarlos al cambio climático. Nuestra meta es hacer que los niños entiendan que la agricultura puede hacerse en cualquier lado y que no es eso que pensamos muchas veces, que es solo del campo, que es sucio, difícil, que es mucho tiempo. Queremos transformar ese concepto en los niños y decir, no, tú si tienes un pequeño espacio lo puedes transformar, usas tecnología, tu celular te puede dar las notificaciones y lo puedes construir, puedes hacer tus propios alimentos.
Hello. Our traveling and then start to experience noise from the keke here, and now keke check off. I don't know what's going on.
There are days when it seems everything is going wrong, and that usually starts with somebody breaking down, and then we will have to tow them back to the office. And it's usually the case that once we're back, I will hear my fleet manager say to me, Elvis, you have to go again. Another person broke down. Yeah, and that's when you're like, oh, today's gonna be quite a day.
Equipo, vengan un segundito, por favor.
For this week, we have a lot of things already on the list. It's a full board.
We're going to have such a busy week.
Desde las 9 de la mañana tendríamos que visitar los 3 huertos, o sea, 2 terrenos y un huerto. Irnos,
De las 9.
sí, o antes de las 9, irnos al huerto 1 y de ahí irnos a la periférica, hacer ese terreno, revisar como en aplanado.
The hardest part for me is the fact that I have to stay on top of things 24 hours around the clock. It's a never-ending cycle for me.
प्रेजेंटेशन तो एक दफ़ा ओवर थ्रू भी कर लेते हैं, तो हमारी प्रेजेंटेशन भी देख लेते हैं कि किस तरह से हमने डिस्कस करते हैं.
Manu y yo venimos trabajando el tema de la tesis de impacto. ¿A qué se traduce una instalación y cuál es el cambio positivo o posiblemente negativo que estamos generando con esas cosas? Lo más retador de lo que hacemos es que no hay una ruta clara para hacerlo. Eso hace que muchas veces se sienta como un camino solitario, pero que debemos afrontar.
That is a lot of money.
En Entonces necesitaríamos 890. Sí, yo creo que es necesario nomás subir el precio. No nos va a dar.
Me hace sentir algo triste que las problemáticas que yo tengo en mi país, Bolivia, pueden ser las mismas problemáticas que alguien tiene en Colombia o las mismas que alguien tiene en Uganda. Entonces eso me dice que el mundo sigue dando vueltas en su mismo eje.
Global temperatures are expected to continue at or near record levels for the next 5 years.
For Liberia, climate change is not a distant threat, but a present reality.
La crisis climática con frecuencia se siente abrumadora.
The next generation, they're going to ask you, where are the trees? Did this exist? Where is it? What did you do wrong?
People at some point have started accepting it.
And to think that there's going to be more drought, people are not going to be able to have food, that is scary. We need to do something now, and by now I mean right now.
El mundo ha cambiado mucho. La naturaleza que vivió mi abuelo es muy diferente a la que vivo yo y sobre todo a la que vivirán mis nietos. Y me da un poco esa sensación de que en muchos aspectos ya es demasiado tarde para muchas de esas cosas. Y mis mayores esperanzas es que todavía quede mucho por hacer.
You need to find meaning in the nature around you. And it has healed me in so many ways.
Es terapia para el alma, un ratito. Cero estrés.
Todo lo que sembramos hoy, vamos a cosechar en un futuro.
I go to nature to recharge. It gives me a good reason why I am doing this. I always come back more energized, like, yeah, let's go do this. Let's go make that change we want to make.
I think the world is big and I think it's like the ocean. So I say that this is not the end. We still have a lot to do.
I was trying to look for resource mobilization opportunities, and I found its website, and I also found that call for proposals. But I wasn't so confident about it, you know. I was thinking, will I really handle this? Will I? But I took a chance. I remember not having electricity, and I was only relying on the battery of my laptop. So I started writing and writing and writing, and it's the 11th hour. Time is up. I remember putting in the submit proposal button when I was like at most 10% of my computer battery. And somehow, within the same year, I received an email. And it said, you have been shortlisted and you'll be going to Italy.
I didn't expect it that we'll get this award, and we got it. And then that was the moment that I realized that it matters.
I remember when I got the email saying that I had won the award. I was home, and I was excited. Like, quickly sent an email to the team, like, "Yo, congratulations, everyone! We did it!" Yeah, it was a good moment for everyone.
Tutti i grandi cambiamenti partono dalle idee e i giovani motivati hanno idee che guardano il futuro, perché il futuro è loro. La sfida è sulle comunità giovani e noi dobbiamo intervenire sulle comunità dei giovani, perché questo è il percorso per l'innovazione. Innovazione significa naturalmente idee nuove, consapevolezza di quello che è il cambiamento che stiamo vivendo e che dobbiamo governare e naturalmente accrescere.
Institutions are fundamental because, youth needs to be empowered to deliver. And so an institution like UNDP with its global presence and global expertise is really a fantastic ally of youth to make sure that the voice are heard, that they are supported, that they're financed to push their ideas, and in doing this they become concrete agents of change.
Anilú es muy buena hablando, entonces me acuerdo que cuando estábamos escribiendo la propuesta, le dijimos así, si clasificamos, tú vas a ir a Italia a defender y es a ganar. Cuando tú luchas por el medio ambiente, no puedes pensar en pequeño. ¿Por qué? Porque como el medio ambiente es tan grande y todo, o piensas a nivel global o no vas a hacer realmente nada.
This is just the beginning. Please stay connected, stay like you are because you're fantastic. Thank you.
Volontà, motivazione e risorse in 4 anni hanno raggiunto decine di migliaia di giovani del mondo, hanno creato una modalità di azione per divulgare una posizione, un pensiero, delle idee, delle nuove idee e naturalmente di attuare i progetti.
Whatever we were doing, putting our own money into it, we realized that people don't care. But then when this award was given to us, we got recharged.
Growing up, I wasn't exposed to so many opportunities to be part of community action, possibly because there weren't safe spaces for young people to get involved. So it's really inspiring to see young people taking action despite barriers that of course continue to exist. Youth for Climate is a global community. It started in 2021 to respond to the concrete demand young people have repeatedly put out there, which is basically half the world population. We have solutions and ideas. We're at the forefront of climate change. We are also the generation that's most concerned about climate change and its impacts on us. That we have the least voice and space in decision-making spaces and least access to technical and financial resources.
We've been through so many thematics over the past couple of years, right? We've covered climate education, now we're doing climate peace and security. Within those, you see so much diversity in the approach young people are taking, and I think it's because for them there's no silos.
We're seeing increasing recognition of the need for collective action, for people coming together intergenerationally, and we're a contribution to that.
Hi everyone, it's great to see you all again. I think most of you know me by now, but I'm Roxani. I coordinate the Youth for Climate program from the UNDP Rome Center. So let's do a round to see who's in the room.
Hi, I'm Stacy from Uganda. I'm glad to be here.
Hi, I'm Elvis Thomas. I am from Liberia.
Hi everyone, it's Nuria from Tajikistan.
I'm John Stanley Shayo from Tanzania.
I'm Lara. I'm the founder
Hi,
of
I am Diana and I'm an indigenous woman from...
With an envelope of $4 million, we've supported 150 innovative solutions over the past 3 years. Across 59 countries and counting, youth-led teams are demonstrating what happens when trust is placed in their hands. A global network proving that climate action grows stronger when it's shared. This work isn't about celebrating individuals, it's about what happens when collective action takes root. The truth is the solutions are already out there. What's needed now is to go full steam ahead with implementation. Youth for Climate is just one example of what becomes possible when young people are trusted and financed to lead. Youth-led initiatives still receive less than 1% of climate finance. Real climate progress will depend on how countries turn promises into action, and that can only happen when youth are trusted to help shape and deliver. The transition ahead won't happen for young people, it will happen with them. Thank you so much. Let's make more connections and build this into a really strong alumni community. Thanks everybody, bye-bye.
All right, thank you. Bye. This is why I think Youth for Climate is special, because I think it's the one initiative that really taps into that and trusts people, gives them the instruments and support to really realize their vision today, because there is frankly not that much time left to fix the trajectory that we are on.
Youth for Climate è il veicolo, è un motore che ha lo scopo di trasmettere questo messaggio a livello mondiale, di trasmetterlo a giovani di tanti paesi del mondo e naturalmente far di loro ambasciatori tramite i loro progetti che vengono realizzati, che sono stati finanziati dal governo italiano e che il governo italiano vuole ancora sostenere.
The people it selects and brings together, they just are like one whole family. We're able to even call each other beyond the event, and interact with each other to support each other on our various projects. Climate change has no borders, so if we are all doing this, wherever we are, it's making action collectively.
Para nosotros, más que todo, Youth for Climate ha sido esa llave que te abre un mundo, porque todo ese respaldo nos ha dado mucha credibilidad y creo que la clave es que la gente cuando te escucha de verdad, se puede hacer cosas.
Cheers. Si alguien no quería financiar este tipo de proyectos o creer que esto fuera posible, ya teníamos quien lo hiciera y poder nosotros de cierta manera hacerlo por nuestros propios medios.
Esta yo la veo bien, está totalmente cargada la batería.
Con el respaldo de instituciones tan grandes como el UNDP o como el gobierno de Italia y llevarlo a un entorno tan retador como lo es este pueblo en la Sierra Nevada, Catanzama.
It feels like that someone is backing you up, someone is trusting you with the work that you do.
ठीक है, तो जैसे हमने जो सर्विस किए थे अराउंड एजुकेशनल नर्सरी, आई थिंक ये सबसे बेस्ट एरिया होगा।
और इस पे यहाँ पे हम मार्कर वगैरह लगा देंगे ताकि
So it feels great to be supported, to be trusted.
Sometimes we will sit along the street, and there are so many parts of the city that were dark, and there will be this just random spot where one street light still works, and everyone comes there to play at night, to study at night. It was like a combination. The entire community would come under one street light. And we would think, wow, electricity is life.
temíamos que la incidencia que pudiéramos causar llevara a efectos negativos. No es electrificar por electrificar, no es llegar a un lugar donde la gente no ha pedido electricidad y entregársela y cambiar sus costumbres y manera de vivir. El hecho de que ellos sienten que este nuevo acceso a la energía les ha permitido mejorar la calidad de su educación, que cuando puedan recibir medicamentos están listos para refrigerarlos, es algo que nos genera muchísima esperanza en ver que estamos ayudando a que este país, que está marcado por profundos contrastes, lo esté cada vez menos.
Al final, yo creo que el proyecto también ha sido muy exitoso porque no hay nada más que una a la gente que es la comida.
Hola, hijita. ¿Cómo te fue?
Bien.
¿Bien?
Sí.
¿No has traído la lechuguita?
Sí, mamá.
¿Qué bien? ¿Te han cosechado?
Sí.
Eso también creemos que es un gran aporte porque estamos ampliando la variedad de comida o aspectos que pueden usar. Hay mamás que nos decían, yo nunca he usado albahaca para cocinar, pero ahora que su hijo lo llevó, ya tenía que aprender o ver cómo pueden usar la albahaca para hacer otro tipo de comida, abrir también todo un mundo de posibilidades que son también más sanas.
Entonces no utilizan nada de pesticidas, todo natural.
Todo natural.
Sería bueno tener uno así en casa, ¿no?
In the next 10 years, I imagine the coastline to be more protected, to be healthy enough for the turtles to come in. And then I see that it's providing livelihood.
Imagine being up here and seeing emergency tuk-tuks on every street. So other than CO2, we're going to be reducing directly our own direct impact. I think that's also going to encourage many, many more people to stand up and do something about climate change.
Imaginamos un futuro de tecnologías más limpias, de mejor acceso a oportunidades.
It's all worth it if one girl dives into the ocean and does not come back the same.
Si algo lo hacemos bien en La Paz, con seguridad lo podemos expandir a todo Bolivia y va a salir bien.
I believe that creativity is the most powerful tool a young person can hold. If we dare to imagine together, there's no limit to what our generation can create.